If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
Who says you can't be the topic of conversation for all the right reasons? The Hyundai Tucson Hybrid pairs bold presence with advanced technology and sleek style. It's everything you didn't know you needed in an SUV and then some. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more.
Walmart Business is in the business of helping your business. Regardless of whether you're building bridges, building spreadsheets, or building lesson plans. Ooh, that looks fun. Walmart Business can help save you time, money, and hassle so you can focus on what you're building instead of what your supply closet is missing. In short, we take care of business so you can do more with yours. We're the Walmart you love, now for your business. Learn more at business.walmart.com.
Welcome to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, your besties with a literary podcast that deep dives into your favorite novels. This is Jack.
And I'm Amy.
We're taking a quick break from our Crown of Midnight season to talk to Stacey McEwan.
Stacey is a best-selling author of fantasy romance whose books have been translated into 4 languages. Her high school English teacher once called her writing above year-level standard, and she took it far too seriously. Stacey received a bachelor's degree in education in 2012 and was a school teacher for 11 years. She is a content creator on multiple platforms, including TikTok and Instagram. Stacey first published after book lovers of the internet encouraged her to share her story ideas. She was born and raised on the Gold Coast, Australia, and still resides in her hometown with her husband, 2 children, and 1 questionable dog.
Stacey's new novel, A Forbidden Alchemy, is available to readers worldwide on July 1st.
Welcome, Stacey.
Welcome. Hello.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Oh my God. We're so freaking happy.
Yeah. Very glad to have you here. Very glad the time zone, you in Australia, here, us in Los Angeles, works out.
I know, it did work out really well.
This is easy for me. This is like a work day. You guys are using your Sunday night.
I mean, no better place to do it. You were the one who destroyed my weekend to begin with. You're the one who can fix it to end.
That's wonderful. Excellent. Let's keep this ball rolling.
I mean, like, I think the text I sent Amy was the only way I could get through this book, and the best way possible, is knowing that I get to be speak to the author who has inflicted this upon me.
Yeah. Like, you get to throw a few punches in. Absolutely. I think that's like the best thing as well about social media now, and like having some direct link between books and author as well, is that you can actually, like, even if you get blocked and kicked out and violate community guidelines, if you have no morals, you can in fact just inflict some like passive damage onto the author if you so wish. And I'm not encouraging that at all.
No,
but it's an option.
unless it's me, in which case I love that. But yeah, it's like the best thing about a reader is you get to go into some poor author's DMs and go, "Listen, you bitch, that was the most beautiful thing that I've ever read, and how dare you."
Yours might genuinely have been the only one that's like caused that much of a visceral reaction, where I had to audio record to Amy me screaming into my pillow. So that's a very real.
Yeah, there was a point when she was like, I have 60 pages left. Help me get through this. Help me survive the pain that this is going to inevitably cause. And I was like, good luck. Like,
Yeah.
I have nothing to help you.
I've never seen marketing for a book before happen where it's like, because you've had different authors, like I think Ali Hazelwood, Hannah Nicole Mayer, and I think even like Katherine Heigl or something, but it's like the reviews, like the marketing is, fuck you, Stacey. You dirty bitch. I hate you. Like, I've never seen marketing done that way.
Know.
It's brilliant.
It was really funny. It was, I think I put something up on Threads saying that, and this is genuine, I viscerally hate having to reach out to other authors and say, hey, it's me, Stacey McEwan. I wrote me a little book, and if you have time, maybe if you sort of want to read it, burn it, like destroy it, whatever you wish, if you could, and then like if you don't hate it, if you could have after that, it'd be great. I hate doing that. Right. It's like, it feels disgusting to me. But it's like a necessary part. And it does in fact sound better coming from you than it does coming from like your publisher or your agent or someone like that. Especially if you already have like a professional relationship with that person. So it's necessary, but I hate it. So I posted a thing on Threads saying that I loathe that more than anything else in this job. And I'm thinking about just contacting my publishers and saying, like, Amber said, it's like on site, I'm punching you in the face. And this person said this, and this person said this. And I'm hoping that they'll just be down for those blurbs. And people are like, why not do that though? Because that's funny. Yeah. Like that's
also it's your genius idea.
Yeah, so people, like, I was just joking, and people were like, but if I saw a book that was like, it was blurbed by Hannah Nicole Bear, and it just said Stacey is a fucking bitch and I hate her, that would, I'd be like, I'm reading this now. Yeah. You know, whether you know what it's about or not, like, that's eye-catching. And I was like, that's a good point. I think blurbs are, personally, I think author blurbs are, like, really outdated. Like, they're something that's been used forever, but I don't know that they're that effective anymore. But I think that's effective. And so, and then my publishers saw that post and saw the people saying, but why not though? And they were like, you know what we should do? We should make, like, we should actually do that though. We should actually make social media titles that be like, oh, hear what these credible authors and celebrities have to say about A Forbidden Alchemy. And just, so I had to go back to the like a few of those are my friends, but I had to go back to like the likes of Katherine Heigl and jump in her DMs and be like, would you be okay with me like sharing this with people?
You slid into Catherine's DMs?
Yeah, well, we were already talking because she'd read the book, and that's what she said to me, like, you bitch. Like, that was her response to me when she read the book. And so when I shared that on Threads, I was like, would you care if I made that into a tile? And I showed her like the graphic and was like, and if you say no, then it's all good. And she was like, absolutely, I'd be on it. Like, please do. So I had to get permission from everyone to make sure that was okay. And everyone was like, absolutely. Like, I hate your guts. So the world needs to know. And I got, that's still the most fun bit of book promotion that I've ever had to do.
It's genius. What's also cool about it though, is that, you know, you see that and it's like, you know, I know some of them are friends, and I don't know anything about Katherine Heigl. You guys could be besties. I have no idea. But like, you know, like, I don't know if it's just being nice to be nice or anything. So like when I went to go read it, I'm always curious to see like, all right, well, let's see how devastating this ending's really going to be. It deserved every little bit of hype from the promotion of it. And it's just, I was like, oh, so no exaggeration happened. Everyone was, genuine emotions were expressed.
The funniest thing is that, so I've written a trilogy before this, and I thought I was much worse in that trilogy. So when I wrote A Forbidden Alchemy, I was like, people were like, am I going to be as mad at you as I was when I read the Glacian Trilogy? And I'm like, no, nowhere near as mad. I'm much nicer in this one. And then they read it and they were like, I am much more mad. And I'm like, really? And I really didn't get it. And then I guess I read back through in like an edit, like the final edits, and was like, oh yeah, that was a little harsh. You know, it was a little rough. Yeah, it was a little rough. I won't lie. I didn't in fact set it all up just to burn it all down. So that's probably fair.
Let's get the worst part of this for you out of the way and just tell you how fucking fantastic this book is. It's, I mean, not only is this a good story, you write like someone who's perfected their craft.
Stop it.
The techniques of it, everything that the time you spent, the like actual, because Amy and I like we come from academia when it comes with literature and everything, and like this is the kind of shit people analyze. Like you did a really good job.
That's a really nice compliment. How dare you?
She's like, fuck you.
I'm not. I'm trying to work on taking compliments, but that's not a craft I have perfected at all.
Well, you write like you did. So, the craft of accepting. Yeah. I feel like I have like cute aggression, but like compliment aggression. So maybe if I just deliver my compliments in an aggressive manner, it'll help.
Yeah. If you like, tell me I'm pretty while punching me in the face, and then I'll be able to take it better. Yeah.
Jack is the perfect person to do this with. She will throw things at you when she's really happy with you.
It's true.
And really impressed with you. So
yeah.
I have caused many bruises to Amy over the 15 years.
Poor
And that's
Amy.
just joy.
Amy's like, that's fine.
Yeah. She knows, it's love.
Comes from a loving place.
Yeah.
That's right. Stacey, so I haven't read the Glacian Trilogy. So A Forbidden Alchemy is my first book that you have written.
The first impression.
You are better than all the great American novels I read in college.
Stop it.
That is
It's
how
true.
good your book is.
Wait, give her the middle finger while you say it so that.
Yeah, don't give it. Thank you. Thanks, Amy. That's really kind. See how easy it was for me to take that compliment?
Yeah.
It was followed up with a little bit of aggression.
Yeah, there you go.
That's incredibly sweet, and I love you guys for saying that, because it's my favorite thing in the entire world is writing, and I like to think that I get a bit better with every book. So I say this every single time, but with every book that I write, I'm like, this is my favorite book, because I feel like it's better than any of the other books that I've written. And so I feel that way with A Forbidden Alchemy now. Like, this is the best book that I've written, simply because it's the newest. So thank you. That's very validating.
Good. I'm glad. I mean, it makes me excited for what comes next. If you are confident in your ability to write a better book the next time you write, then I expect more heartbreak and pain and love for your craft.
Yeah. Well, who knows? I mean, I might have peaked. I might be all downhill from here. Like, it has to stop eventually, but
I mean, that means if it stops hurting.
Yeah, well, that's true. But having said that, book 2 is in fact done, its first draft, and it's definitely not going to be happy and cheerful. So
I didn't.
Breaking news.
I was teasing Jack as she was reading this book, because when she writes her story, she wants to inflict as much pain as possible. She's like, I want them to weep while I cackle in the background. And I was like, you can't be mad at Stacey, because she's done what you want to do.
Precisely.
I can only imagine the joy.
Yeah, I have this deep desire as well. And so then when people do jump into the DMs or send an email or something, or post something where they look viscerally upset with me, I'm like, man, what a fun job.
Yeah, job well done.
Yeah, job well done, indeed.
This must be the most fun last 10 pages. You're probably just laughing away, being like, let's just...
just cackling. Never been happier.
So, Stacey, you've written one trilogy, you've started A Forbidden Alchemy. What was it like to leave a world behind and then build an entirely new one? And did you discover things about your writing process as you began to shape Belavere City?
Definitely. Well, first of all, the Glacian Trilogy and then now this trilogy are so different. They're in the same genre, so there's not a difference there. I believe that my author's voice, as some swanky people like to call it, remains largely the same, but the vibes of the books are completely different. Glacian Trilogy was this medieval fantasy. This one's Gaslamp. So they're very different in that regard. It was very bittersweet leaving the Glacian Trilogy behind, because I love those characters so much as well. But I was very, very excited to start this story, and it was definitely one of those ideas that strikes you and doesn't let you go until you start it. And so I was desperate to get to it. And I was in the final edits for Valley and starting to write this one. And I really struggled to get through the edits of Valley, because in my mind, I'd already edited the book 5 times. The book was written, we were just going through the final passes of it, and I'd already shelved it in my head and moved on to this next story. And that was the thing that I wanted to focus on. And the story was really strong to me, and the characters were really strong, that I just wanted to spend my time doing that. So I was very sad to leave my Glacian Trilogy characters behind, but I was so focused on A Forbidden Alchemy straight away that, there was really no time for any sadness or anything. I was straight into it. So I'm sort of immersed in this world now, and I've swapped out one for the other. So much so that the Glacian Trilogy feels like it was a million years ago, when it wasn't. Like, Valley only released last year. So it's definitely a strange feeling. What have I noticed about my progression as a writer? I think it's just confidence now. When I was writing the Glacian, that was the first books that I'd published. Not the first books that I'd written by any means, but the first books that I published. And it was the first time I'd had books professionally edited, and had a sort of, other stakeholders in the book. Outside of myself. And so that was all a huge learning curve. I feel like with the Alchemy trilogy, I'm a lot more confident now in the process of it. I don't fear it anymore. That's a big thing. There's no fear like a blank page that needs to be filled by yourself. So there's that, but I don't fear the editing process now. I don't fear getting an editorial letter, even if it's 6 pages long, from the editor. Now I just look forward to it because I know that it's actually all fine and that I can do it and that I can figure out all the issues, all the problems, and stopper up all the plot holes, and that everything sort of finds a way to everything has a fix. Whereas I think I used to stress myself out a little bit in previous books where I would truly tell myself like that I've created a problem that cannot be fixed in a book. And it's just not the case. So yeah, just confidence, I think.
I feel like your confidence comes across in Nina, dare I say. And I know that's strange to say, but I feel your confidence as I read the book.
Oh, that's really
someone
nice,
who's
actually.
very sure in what they're doing. So yeah. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you. I like that.
I don't think people realize it's notes are so vital to, like, the more notes the better. Like, it truly becomes a situation of getting conversation, getting dialogue, coming up with even better ideas, being able to make this the best possible book. Like I always say, if Taylor Swift can have Jack Antonoff produce, like, you know, if there's a team making an album, there can be a team making a book. And it's by embracing all of that, you're bypassing any kind of it taking personally or thinking that you didn't do a good enough job. But I mean, it's just good.
It is, yeah. It's nice to have that collaboration.
Oh, I was talking about the book.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's the truth though that it was collaborative. Like it didn't get there by itself. You know, like it had to go through many passes of edits, and it had to be looked at by like quite a few people who kept suggesting and resuggesting and pointing things out. For it to become tidy and cohesive, and for it to make sense, and for all of those sort of plot beats to sort of link up nicely, and for the pacing to sort itself out, which is another huge thing. It's if you're writing a fantasy in particular, the pacing is really, really important, right? Because the reader has to be engaged with the plot the entire time and not just the characters or the romance of the characters. If you're writing in fantasy, it's almost like signing this like invisible contract that you're going to keep the reader entertained through its plot beats the entire way through. That's hard to do, and it's quite exhausting, especially if you're a romance girl like me, and I'm like, I just want them to kiss, really. Like, can we not be satisfied with that? I really enjoy that process, though. I really love editing.
Yeah. People, I mean, the first 100 pages is so vital for a book. And by the time the first 100 pages are in, your plot has to have been applauding. Like, you are in it. And you really set yourself up for, I think, some of the most difficult things that an author can tackle, which is starting off as a child. You know, you're getting that person, getting not just the child, but like getting the personalities, introducing a character that we're not going to see for a long time, introducing another character, Theo, that you're going to have to make us experience a world of emotions. And then by the time we even get the book started, she is now 25, and like 7 years have passed since we last saw her, and you fit a lot of information in a very short amount of time without it feeling rushed, and like you're saying, the pacing of hitting those marks, but getting us emotionally invested in everyone that you're introducing us to.
Yeah. It was a little ambitious. I won't lie. It was a little overly ambitious. And to be honest, book 2's overly ambitious as well. But I really wanted the challenge of it, and to sort of not shy away from something that I knew was going to be difficult to do. I'd rather give it a go, and then let other people have many eyes on it and give me suggestions and tell me what's not working and tell me what doesn't make sense and tell me what parts are too slow or too heavy or too filled with information, and let me see if I can tease it all out and make it work. In A Forbidden Alchemy, I was planning on having that sort of courtyard scene in the beginning with Nina and Patrick, and sort of introducing those two characters and introducing like a tiny little snippet of Theo. And then the next thing you knew, they were going to be graduating, you know, and there was going to be no scenes in the school. And this is what I pitched to my editor as well. Like, this is how it's going to read. And she was like, so the school stuff, them at their artisan schools, all going to be completely off page. And I went, yep, there's not going to be, it's going to jump from them being initiated, basically being siphoned, to graduating. And then we're going to skip again 7 years later and they're adults. And she was like, okay, no, that will work well for pacing. And then I wrote it and went, I can't leave all of the school stuff off a page. Like, there needs to be some build between Nina and Theo.
Yeah.
There needs to be some understanding of how this works, of how different life is in Belavere City in comparison to the other parishes. So all of these things were just occurring to me, and I thought, well, and so the book that I handed in to my editor had, initially like 10 chapters in the artisan school. I don't even know how many there are now. But she went, I thought all this was happening off page. And I was like, well, surprise. And if you don't like it, then that's cool. We can go back and readdress. But she read it all and said, no, I think this needs to stay. And it's a little risky because it sort of feels like you're starting one story and then ending it and starting another when you time jump like that. But in the end, I just personally really liked it. So you kind of have to rely on the idea that if you really like it, surely there's other people that will really like it as well. So by all accounts, it hasn't caused too much of a stir yet. So we'll see what happens when it releases.
Yeah, no, I think the beginning I think it delivers and achieves what you set out to achieve. I mean, we see the process of assimilation for Nina. We see the development of her relationship with Theo. And we feel the fear of discovery throughout the entire process, which is important for who she is when we get to the age of 25. So I thought it was well done. I enjoyed every moment of it. I didn't think it dwelt too long in one area. I was impressed with what you were able to achieve with little snippets of each year.
Yeah, and then going in like the literary nerd now, whether this was your intention or not, just smile and be like, yeah, sure. But like your use of imagery with the canary and, you have two canaries that die in this story, like that kind of die throughout the story. And then you have like these two chapters in her life where it's like the childhood and then the time at the academy. These are two parts that died in her life. So you can kind of see it where you talk about the canaries being alive, being dead, and being signals of what's to come. And so it reflected that in the storytelling at the very beginning to me.
Yeah, so unfortunately for people that are not like, they don't like poetry or they don't like particularly lyrical writing, I am a slut for imagery. So, yes, thank you for pointing that out. I do love my symbolism and I do love my imagery. Usually I send a note to any new editor that I haven't worked with before. I send them a note to say, listen, I am a metaphor whore and you're going to hate it. So just strike through. Like if I accidentally put 5 metaphors in one sentence, that's normal. Just strike through, like pick out your favorite. We'll stick with that. Because initially when I do a first draft, I just throw mud at the wall. Just to see what will stick. And so I leave it all on the page, leave it all on the coach and then go, let's just like pick out all of the stuff that's too much and it's drowning it. And I usually do it myself before a different season editor. I go back through and go, well, I'm a little heavy-handed here on all the visualization, but I do really love it. That's my favorite part of writing it, actually getting words down on the page, is that. So
you did it.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
It was a very immediate one where Amy was like, you're gonna love this canary, and I'm like, and then throughout it happened, I was like, yes. And each time it had different like beats that was happening in the story, and I see what you're doing. And yeah. If you're a metaphor whore, then I'm a metaphor
junkie.
Yeah, junkie. Okay, yeah. I was like,
yes,
like the person who
match made in heaven.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna read.
Were you trying to say you're the pimp?
No, I don't. No, I'm the person who seeks the service from said.
You're the client.
I'm the client.
You're the client.
They call him a John. Yeah.
Yeah, a John.
So I'm gonna read the question from my phone because I don't want to mess with my computer, and I don't know how to do a good transition to this. I will say the transition is, thank you for giving them names that I can say and remember. We have interviewed so many authors, and each time I have to look at them and be like, this is how I say it out loud. And then they're like, yes, sorry. And thank fuck, man.
So no fuck ass names here. Listen, the Glacian Trilogy was the same. I was like, these are all names. that we can all say.
Yeah.
I personally thank you for this. So we first
welcome.
meet Nina Harrow, and wait, did I say that? Or did I already mess it up? Harrow.
Yeah. Imagine if I was like, that's not how I say your name.
I already screwed that up.
The R's are silent.
Awo, no, Harrow.
Yeah. Ow. So
And
Nina
also
Harrow.
Nina and Patrick
Yes.
as 12-year-olds, which was vital not only for their connection to one another, but also our connection as readers to these characters. Other authors can sometimes find themselves writing the same characters' voices at different ages difficult because they're not growing, right? Like it's hard to sound childish and then make that the same narrative. But that's not what we have here, and I think we truly believe that you nailed the progression of their age and their personality as they got older. What do you find the most challenging or rewarding about writing from their different perspectives at different ages, in various ages, especially Nina as she grows up?
Nina is a whole different story to any FMC that I've written before, I feel. But I'll get into that in a minute. Writing children is actually really fun for me. I really enjoy doing that. My background is in teaching. And so I have a bit of a vested interest in childhood development. So I kind of like the idea as a writer of like playing around with a child's voice and then how that changes as they become an adult. And then we have Patrick and Nina who have quite diabolical upbringings. So as adults, they are who they are, and that had to sound really different. Nina's such a strange one. She's sort of come from a background where she's been neglected a lot, and she's had a very rough upbringing, and she comes from quite a hostile place, and so there's a lot of neglect and like a lack of, love and compassion in her past, and her mum's abandoned her. So she comes to Belavere City with this air of like, I'm looking for something better, like I'm escaping, I'm not going back home. And Patrick's the opposite. He's had actually quite a strong family foundation from the beginning. He hasn't come from a great background either, just due to poverty, but he's got a strong familial connection. And so his view is the opposite. He comes there with the opinion of, there's no way I'm staying. Like, even if I do turn out to be an artisan, I'm not staying. I'm like, they can't make me stay. I'm going back home. And I kind of liked that dichotomy there, because they become fast friends quite quickly. They discover what they discover. They have to make a decision. And their decisions are always were always like sort of fated to be the opposite, right? And so they were always going to part ways. I really liked that. And then sort of Nina, like very quickly, she goes to the artisan school and we get to watch her grow. And she's learnt to be, as a child, to be kind of gruff and to be strong and stoic, and that's how she's lived. And she's initiated into this school that needs her to be quiet and polite. And so she has to assimilate, and she does very quickly learn to. I think she attaches herself to the wrong people because that's what people who don't have a good understanding of what love is as a child tend to do as adults, right? They tend to look for love in the wrong places, or they tend to misinterpret something as being love when it's not. So watching her grow was really fun. Writing her growth was really fun. She kind of gets to a point, though, at a certain point in the book, without adding any spoilers, where she's tried both now. She's lived at home and been neglected and not found love there. She's assimilated to what she thought she should be, and that's failed as well now. And she's sort of alone and abandoned. So she then resorts to the third option, which is to just be solitary, right? To just go into hiding, to be alone, and to just survive by herself now. So she kind of reverts back to that way of living, where she's just living for herself. And then we jump again to now she's been thrust into a completely different situation. She goes back to looking for love, perhaps in places that are quite dangerous for her to look for love. So Nina's a very interesting character for me, because I sort of watch her go from one frame of mind to the other, and you can see her like quite desperately leeching herself onto what she believes is love, because she's quite starved of it. And even in her own inner monologue, though, that's not how she reads herself. She believes that she's very smart and she's making smart, rational, normal choices, or the best choice that she can possibly make in that situation. And meanwhile, the reader's probably sitting there going, bitch, what are you doing right now? Like, please, we beg you, like, don't do that. But having said that, that was a fun thing to balance as well, because I didn't want her to ever come across as the reader as being just outwardly really, really stupid. But I did want her to make very flawed decisions. That's a hard thing to balance when you're writing a story, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's very easy to annoy readers when the FMC is not making good decisions. But everything about Nina's decisions are true to her character and true to her understanding of what it means to care about people. And it's really very tragic for someone who's never had a true connection, has had true, familial love or romantic or platonic.
Any kind of honest connection at this point in her life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
She is very flawed, and I love that.
Yeah, I am the first person to be like, just fucking communicate. Like, I am a huge communicator. It's one of the top things that genuinely annoys me. I'm not going to spoil anything. There are things that you do that I think makes it okay. It makes sense. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to bleep this out so you know what I'm talking about, but they don't have to know what I'm talking about. But, like, there's that point where they...
Yes, she gives him part of the truth.
Yeah, and so it's just enough information that I personally be like, you know what? If I was her, I'd kind of be like, yeah, that feels like enough info to give.
That is exactly a response Jack would give. Absolutely.
Like, you know what? This feels valid. You also made her 25.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you. And Patrick is also 25.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to say, like, frontal lobe is on the way of being developed.
Yeah, like, let's give them something. Let's give them a bone. Like, throw them a bone. Give them some neurons to work with. So that came in the edit. So my concern was, I'm really worried that people reading this will just I don't mind when readers are frustrated, but I do mind if they're so frustrated that they now perceive the main character to be stupid. And that's really common, like a miscommunication trope. In this case, she's literally just hiding things. And she feels like she can't share them. She feels like her life's in danger if she does share them. She's constantly skirting this line of, like, who do I trust? And is it him? And how can I possibly believe it's him? Like how can I talk to him about this and still ensure not only her own safety, but she's also got other people on the line as well. So yeah, it's all very fraught.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's the other thing. Like, she's had a lifetime of not being honest. Even when she was with her dad,
Correct.
She couldn't have been honest with how unhappy she is. She has not been honest. So how can we expect her
Correct.
as a reader to suddenly be like, hey, I can reveal things?
Exactly. She spent her whole life in hiding in one way or another, right?
Yeah.
So this is really no different. This is part of her character, and her even giving him that crumb that we spoke about earlier. Her even giving him that crumb was like quite a big step for her in her personal growth, just giving him that but it still didn't get the outcome that she needed. And so she then continues to take these steps that are mistakes and they're flawed, and it's literally her desperation. And like I said, people who've not been loved properly as children don't know what proper love looks like as adults either, and they don't really understand. They don't know how to recognize it, or they recognize it in the wrong place. And so she mishandles it. Once she gets it, she recognizes it in Patrick, but she mishandles it and she fumbles it. And she was always gonna be like quite a flawed character who had very strong moral inclinations and had a very clear idea of what she was fighting for, but went about it in the wrong ways. So yeah, hopefully that came across. I have a feeling there's still going to be a lot of readers who are very, very frustrated with her decisions and kind of just want to shake her a little bit. And I completely get that. Hopefully they can see the background that she's coming from and factor that into her decision making as well.
Hang tight. We'll be back faster than a smoldering stare across a battlefield.
You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why so many people are making the switch to Mint Mobile.
Say hasta la vista to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you.
All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts.
Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium service from Mint Mobile for $15. Amy, didn't you say that your sister is on Mint Mobile and loves it?
Yes, it was the best option for her when she finally got her own mobile wireless plan.
Honestly, I think that it might be the best option for anyone who needs their own mobile wireless plan. It sounds amazing.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/booktalk. That's mintmobile.com/BOOKTALK.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months. 5 gigabyte plan required. Equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Tax and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
I think what her saving grace is, even though she is flawed, she makes the wrong decisions, her intentions are good and she's trying to learn and she's trying to do better. And unfortunately, she just keeps choosing incorrectly. But how is she supposed to know? She's never been given the opportunity to learn better. And she's operated from a place of fear since a very, very young age. So I love this idea of morality and the fact that Nina has very strong morals, that the Coulsons have very strong morals, but the morality plays out differently for everybody.
Yeah, they don't necessarily align.
Right, they definitely do not. And, I feel like that's very true to life. And, I'm curious how much of that was a theme you really wanted to explore in this book, or is it something that came about naturally?
No, I desperately wanted to explore it. So, this has been said a million times by myself before, but I love Peaky Blinders, and the thing that I loved about Peaky Blinders that I wanted to emulate in this book and wanted to explore and sort of like tease it out and untangle it was the fact that in that show we have a family who are, by any measuring stick, bad people. There's no moral grayness, like there's just black, like by any measuring stick they're bad people, and yet we love them. And why is that? And it's because they do have morals, but they only apply to one another. They only apply to like blood relatives and not anyone really outside of that. And that every now and then we do see peaks of them sort of going, well, we only fight for the working class and no one else. And those are the only people that we're willing to protect, and everyone else is collateral damage. And so I really think that is very interesting, and there's something very intriguing about that dynamic, in whether it's in a family unit or like a found family unit, or something that's a little larger. But I really liked that idea. And so then I had this sort of class war thing going on in A Forbidden Alchemy, and the Coulson family. I really wanted them to sort of help me explore that idea, and the idea that they're, by any measuring stick, they're, you know, very, very morally grey, and that they're quite brutal, and that it's I'm a Patrick Coulson apologist personally, and I'm just like, you know, he can't, like, to me, I'm like, he's got good reasons for doing what he does. But like, really,
do we have to apologize for something? I don't see anything. I don't see anything we need to apologize for. Yeah.
Yeah. So Peaky Blinders is like the extreme of this notion. The Coulson family in A Forbidden Alchemy are not so extreme. They're not, you know, like killing anyone willy-nilly just cause, and they're not all just for self-gain. It's for sort of communal gain. So it's different, but I did like really like exploring, trying to balance morals with just personal gain, and like, where's that line?
I mean, it's not just like morals of an individual as well, right? Like, it's not just, hey, I'm going to choose to not kill this person. It's also, what's our social responsibility, right? Like, what is it? Is it up to Patrick to help his entire town? Well, technically no, but also, isn't it our social responsibility to try to make sure that children don't go hungry, that people are warm during the winter? Like, isn't there like a certain amount of social responsibility that we have as individuals to face that morality, that question, and what does it take to achieve that? There's layers to the morality, and I think that goes beyond just Patrick, but into the whole nation, right? Into what they're fighting for, of this one particular element. I can't say it. I'm too scared to say words out loud anymore. I fucked up her last name. But they're fighting for this one element.
You didn't fuck up her last name.
You didn't.
You.
Okay. It was like the California R's are a real thing.
No, it's not true. I was just teasing you.
Is it Harrow or Harrow?
Yeah. No, it's I have
yes
an accent.
Both.
I have an accent, so I say Harrow. That probably sounds, but like when you say Harrow, I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So you can
I'm
say
never
either.
gonna say her name. Clark.
Say it.
Clark.
No.
In my brain, it's Nina Harrow.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I say it in my brain as well, Amy. You said it right. I promise you.
I'm never going to talk again now.
You touched her insecurity.
We're gonna die with this name forever, never leaving my lips again.
You literally said it correct. I just thought it would be fun because right before it, you went, "Thank you for giving me the names that I can pronounce." Anyway, Nina Harrow, and I was like,
"No, it would be."
I was like, "That's not how you say it."
It is freaking genius. It is amazing. I also like the lore of our podcast is that I cannot say names. Like that is just the one thing I do not say correctly. So I love it. I appreciate your humor. So thank you. We all love these characters. You did a great job where, yes, I'm obsessed with Patrick, but I'm also obsessed with everyone. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, Patrick is great, but also I want to know everyone's backstory there. And each one is so distinct. Like, I could go around and say what each person's flaw is. What's the thing that's driving them? What's the thing that they want? And that makes them very human. It helps out that everyone here is in fact human. We're not dealing with Fae or anything. So this does wonders. I know this is going to be hard to say, but I feel like this is a safe space. Do you have a favorite character? And what do you pay attention to when you're writing these characters to like these types of characteristics where they don't end up becoming caricatures of themselves? They don't come off as cartoonish. They actually are valid in them.
Yeah. Well, I think Patrick's my favorite character of them all. But in terms of the side characters, Donnie's my favorite side character. He's very funny to me. He has exactly my sense of humor.
I was gonna say that's you. That's part of you.
Exactly.
Favorite line. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna start saying forever. I thought her boobs felt familiar.
Yeah, he's so silly for that. Yeah, I adore him. He's my little bisexual boy.
Yeah,
he's so sweet. In book 2, he has his own point of view. which is really fun. Again,
I know
another find.
both of our faces just like lit up.
Is it first person or third person? And why are we doing different perspectives? I have these other questions.
Well, it's third, so it reads like Patrick's, where it's a third person, but it is in fact from his point of view,
I love it.
which is really fun, again, because it's still, even when it's in third person, it's still, it's not omnipresent.
Yeah, no, it's close.
It's still from
close
his
third
perspective, and he's blind, so I couldn't rely on visualization for those particular chapters, which is was really tricky. So that was a really fun challenge, and I mean that genuinely. I really enjoyed writing his chapters, and so we get to sort of see the underside of him, like what's underneath that sort of humor, and that joviality, and why he is the way he is. He's sort of like the antithesis to Patrick almost in his demeanor, which is really fun. He's very much little brother energy. But when I go about like I really love writing side characters and writing like found family units and things for those reasons. But I detest reading a found family where it feels like a group of people are all mostly just the same, right? They just have like, one has blonde hair and one has brown hair and one has red hair. If that's the only difference between is the way that they look, I'm not invested at all. Yeah. And so I really like spend time thinking about all their entire personalities and how they'll come across on the page. So thank you for saying that, because it's very gratifying. I really enjoy writing side characters. Anytime I accidentally see a comment or a review where they're like, I didn't really like it, I'm like, what do you mean? They're so fun. But yeah, they're quite, I like making them a little bit complex, and I like it when they have their own motivations that are separate to the main characters. That's always good for tangling up the plot even more. And it can be kind of laborious keeping track of all that. But and if you've ever written a found family before, everyone knows that is in fact the case. It's hard to keep track of everyone, and they're all their own little plots. I really like this particular found family.
The craft question. Is there a special way that you track like people's motivation, where they're at in their arc you write?
It's not sophisticated, but I just have like this, I have this big old book, right? Here we go. I have this big old book, and I literally just, when I start writing characters, I usually find a picture online that I love. Like this is my Nina page.
Oh my God, yes.
Love
so
it.
This is like Nina as a 12-year-old, as an 18-year-old, as a 25-year-old, and then that's my Patrick page. And
great.
But I'll do it for all the side characters as well. So that's Theo, and this is Tess and Gunnar and Donnie. So I just do it for all of them, right? Where I just find a picture on like Google Images or whatever that's like, I like that, and put it down, and I just write notes next to them. And then throughout, I just keep referring back to that and keep altering it, depending, and I'll do it for every book in the series. So it's not sophisticated at all, but I just like putting everything down so that I can go back and read it and reflect on it, and it's particularly helpful when you're editing, because sometimes you've written an entire scene of dialogue between two characters and it's not really working when you read it back and you don't know why. And when you look back at what you said that character's motivation was, that's why it's not doing anything, because when it came out in the dialogue, that wasn't really clear. The characters were too sympathetic when they shouldn't have, or they didn't sound sympathetic enough, or so I think it's just important to just have it down so it doesn't get lost in your head.
I mean, I feel like Tess, Patrick's mom, is going to be a great example of really understanding motivations that aren't being spoken on camera, for lack of better. I can infer a lot, especially by the end, once we have a lot of things that are revealed, but there's a lot we're not seeing, and you yourself are going to have to keep track of it, but me as a reader who doesn't know all the inner workings can guess enough to get us through. So I think that's, again, you nailed it. You keep doing a good job.
Thank you.
We have our other question, but I want, since Amy asked a technical question, I got to ask a technical question too.
Of course.
In Nina's perspective, it's past tense, and you flow seamlessly beyond distant past tense and more and closer past tense. You just sometimes you can tell she's really reflecting on a situation, and other times it's almost like she's reliving it in that exact moment, and it's people don't realize how hard that is to do. And then you also have Patrick, who's done in a third person tense. Do you have a reason as to why that is? And is it like a fun thing that I get to figure out? Like, is it like a clue that I have to, or is it just preference?
I promise you that it's not like a Easter egg or anything.
Okay.
It just, the first 10 or 15 chapters that I wrote were basically what I sold the book on, like in a preempt. So the book wasn't written yet. And I wrote everything in third person. So all of Nina's chapters and Patrick's chapters. And my editor at the time went, I'd really like to see this in first person from Nina's perspective. So I rewrote the entire thing in first person then. So Nina and Patrick's scenes. And then I looked at it and went, I don't like Patrick's chapters being in first person. And the main reason being that I felt like it was more Nina's story than Patrick's, first of all, but I really wanted there to be a sort of like this big air of mystery around Patrick in particular. And I think that's more conducive to third person. And so I said, would it be very annoying if I switch back and forth? And the short answer was no, I don't think so. Just give it a go and we'll see how it reads. It's quite easy to sort of switch, like to take what you've already written and switch the tense, at least initially in the technical sense. And when you do your edits and you read back through, there's certain sentences that don't work. So you can chop and change them. But just as like a flat, like let's just really quickly change the tenses, it's not that hard to do. So I actually switch back and forth like quite a few times between everything before I finally settled on leaving Nina in first person and leaving Patrick in third person and then leaving it all in past tense. But yeah, there is that switch again where the tense becomes more historical as opposed to being close. I probably do that in most of my writing though, so I think it's probably just a writer's preference that I like kind of slipping back into sort of like a more historical voice and then back to a close present. So I think I've probably just been doing that for a long time. But yeah, there's no like great mystery as to why I had that change. I was literally just playing around with it and just seeing what read well. And I really wanted to do this and the editor was like, okay. So
yeah. I've been seeing it happen more in books as well, though, where the FMC's first, men are third. And yeah, yours, it works very, very well.
Yeah, I think it achieves what you set out to achieve, which is it's Nina's story. We feel closer to Nina. I think we're meant to understand Nina more than we're meant to understand Patrick. And Patrick is very closed off emotionally. I mean, yes and no, right? He doesn't want to be, but he's very guarded.
Yes.
He takes the risk and regrets taking that risk, right? Yeah. Of opening himself up. So it makes it. I had no problems with it. I was like, I got it.
Yeah.
He's close enough.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying
problems with
that's
it.
Exactly how it sort of. Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, yeah. I that's very much how it read to me as well, where I liked that Patrick's was in third person because he is very closed off, and I did want to create like a stronger voice in Nina telling her story. So yeah, I'm glad that came across well. But yeah, it was literally just experimental.
Well, that's great. I love that when you go into historical third person because it really gives gravity to the emotional moment in that scene. Like you can almost tell what she's feeling is so intense because she has to step back almost in reflecting on that moment, or the repercussions of it are intense. So I love it because you really much use the historical past tense as a signifier to the reader of this is something to flag or this is a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
Without spoiling anything, by the end of the novel, I feel like everyone is acting. Their actions are very, very different, but it is all based on this idea of love. They are motivated by love, even though it is all in conflict with one another and nothing goes their way. I also felt like one of the messages that came across to me was you make your own destiny, good or bad, right? Depending on the nature of your decisions. And I guess I was curious to what extent was destiny or love or both essential to the character journeys as you were writing them, designing them, or what have you?
Yeah, like very essential. I really liked the idea, like I said, that Patrick came from like quite a strong foundation of familial love. and familial loyalty as well, where his trajectory in life was very, very clear cut to him. He knew exactly what he was going to become as per his upbringing. And just historically, he knew that he was going to become a miner, you know, and he had no intentions of ever becoming anything else due to familial loyalty and his duty that he felt from a very young age that he should return home, you know, and that if he didn't, that his family might suffer for that. Nina's the complete opposite of that. And she has very little basis for love. The only basis for love that she had was from her mother, who then left her. So how is, like, who can trust that? She sees it again in Theo and loses that. She sees a little bit of it in her Aunt Frances, but not really. It's very guarded, and then loses that. And then she has Patrick. And it's fraught, you know, and she really doesn't want to lose that too. But she is always on the precipice of it. So there's lots of little lines in the book where I mention time again and again, like everything's predicated on time and time running out, because she knows it's running out, right? She knows, and she describes it as like a train rattling down the tracks, and she's tied to it as like, you know, like sand seeping through an hourglass and running out. And so all of her decisions then are somewhat hasty, you know, and she's just like constantly battling this, I'm running out of time and I can't, and trying very hard not to spoil the ending with my words. But again, it's always this clash with Nina of like her own morality and this thing that she believes that she's might have to make terrible decisions, but it's the right thing to do because she has no other choice, right? But then her love now for not only Patrick, but this family and this town and this life and this cause that she's newly subscribed to, it's all clashing. And she's desperately trying to find a way to have her cake and eat it too. Essentially, she's desperately trying to find a way to make these two parts of her kind of marry up, and they just simply don't. And she realizes it way too late. Yeah, so I like that it's not only her like fighting with those notions, but then Patrick, who's mostly unaware, but almost everything that he does is motivated by love. He just wouldn't call it that. He would call it like duty and loyalty, but everything that he does is motivated by love. Theo's motivated by what he believes is love. And that we would call something that's a little more toxic than that. But like Polly's motivated in some ways by love and chooses something different. And yeah, so it's very much the case. Tess in all of her actions is motivated by the love for her sons, right? And for her town. So yeah, it's but everything, like they're in war times, everything kind of sucks. And it's difficult. So sorry for the suffering.
I mean, you do it so well.
You're going to suffer, but you're going to like it.
You're going to like it. Yeah. If that was a brand, I feel like that's our brand.
That's your brand.
That's the brand.
It's, I mean, all of it kind of goes into kind of like what you're saying, though, with themes, right? And it comes back to motivation, and to get the motivation, you get the themes and, you know, what's driving everyone. And you say like time is a big theme. We talked about chosen family being a theme. I think another big theme is the loss of innocence, right? We see that very early on, and a lot of it's the repercussions of not just the loss of innocence of Patrick and Nina, but even the loss of innocence of this truth coming out, right, to the world. Are there any other themes that kind of stand out to you that you like more, or that you're like, hey, you guys didn't catch this one, or you're like, no, covered it all?
I think those are the most predominant ones. I would say that like maybe a smaller, lesser, quieter theme is just that like tragic war fiction theme of it institutionalizing a mind and people not coming back the same in that way, and it like desensitizing people to brutality. So I read a lot of war fiction, so I really liked that theme. Sounds weird saying that you really like something like that, but I'm very intrigued by it. And you know, I had this class war going on. I enjoyed sort of weaving that through in some of these characters as well, and in particular characters like Gunnar, and how that affects the person, because in some people, I think the effects of something very, very traumatic looks very, very different. So I liked that it looked very, very different between Gunnar and Patrick, who have essentially been through the same things, you know, but have had incredibly different emotional responses to it after the fact. So I would say there's a little bit of that in there as well.
Yeah, maybe I'll probably, we'll see if I take this out or not. Maybe because like this week we live in LA. I don't know if you've been hearing what's going on with LA, but
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, and then so with ICE and the National Guard arrived, and there's threats of the Marines coming, and you know everyone who's they're targeting are the working class, and so there was something about reading this book while all of this is happening, and it's hard, it's very emotional, and it's devastating to see happen to our city. And even though we're not in, knock on wood, choi wartime,
it feels like it's heading in that direction. There's definite vibes of
it.
So.
There was something about like reading this in tandem with this reality that we're in right now. It really spoke, even though that like, it's not like you sat there and you said, I'm going to predict what's going to happen to LA in June 2025, and I'm going to make it, you know, connect for this one woman who was reading this. But what you did do is you found this feeling that even though I haven't experienced wartime, I'm experiencing something else that has a lot of those feelings. So I think that the core of those emotions you've captured, and you know, can we like, it's wartime what you've captured, but like that essence is something that you really nailed, and I think that's what makes it, a lot of people will resonate with that one.
Yeah, well, I think what you're experiencing in real time, even if it's not war times, is the like coinciding repression and resistance. And I think that that's a very prominent thing in lots of different like dystopian and fantasy books and things like that. So I think those books right now are really clicking with people because they've been just themes in a book before or in a history book for our generation, you know. And if you come from a privileged background like I do, even more so, right, where I haven't had to experience repression and then had to meet it with resistance, but lots of people have all over the world.
Amy, I'm also understanding why the hell I'm also so emotional. Like, I'm definitely, who knows if I keep this in, but I was telling Amy, like, I'm very emotional with what's happening in LA because I am Latina. My mom was born in a different country. She moved to here when she was little. She was born in Chile. I am half. Right. I look like my dad. I am white, and I am very passing as white, and therefore I am privileged for it. And now I'm like, Nina is passing as not being a crafter, and I'm just like, wait, I'm like, why have I been wanting to cry this entire weekend? I'm not starting my period for another 2 weeks. I was like feeling very, and now as we're talking about it, I'm like, I feel, no wonder why I feel like so gutted, because it's gutted, like completely gutted with this, all of this is because I'm like, I was reading a character who feels like they were living this double life, and I was telling Amy, I'm like, before we even started, like how much guilt I have. I just have a lot of guilt. I'm like, I look white. I'm very white passing.
I understand.
And Nina has a lot of guilt of, you know, she has the accent, she has the manners, she has the whole feeling of being an artisan, and at certain points it comes to her advantage.
Yeah, exactly. And she can code switch as well.
Yeah, I think that's why I love this book so much, because it is, while it is fantasy, while it is romance, it also gets to the core of the human experience and what it is to be a part of a society that is imperfect.
Yeah.
We just so happen to be, you know, witnessing that for ourselves. I don't think we need what's happening in the world to happen for me to feel that way about your book, but but your book is very timely in that way.
I certainly didn't mean for it to be quite this timely. But yeah, it's the more I talk about it, the more it does seem to, like, this is why these types of books keep getting printed over and over again, and why we keep resonating with this kind of story over and over again as well, is because we do in fact keep seeing it repeated throughout history and all over the world over and over again. And right now, even in LA, believe it or not, like, who would have ever thought that we'd say that we're seeing this in a place like Los Angeles? That's
one
insanity.
of the most privileged places. It's
it's insanity.
I thought we were safe.
And a place that you'd be right to believe that you'd be safe.
Yes.
And you have the right to believe that you should be safe. Yeah, like incredibly hard topics. I had a very interesting DM from someone that another author that I've been speaking to for a long time, who was protesting for Palestine and a while back, and she had read an arc of it and sent me this great big long message saying something very similar to what we're talking about now, where it's crazy that the themes of this story are not so far removed from the themes of our current news feeds. And that's scary.
Yeah, but it's also done in a way that's original. Like, I know you were saying it's Peaky Blinders, and I can see the inspiration from there. You're talking about some of the themes, like you said, that we keep seeing more of them, and that is true. But it's done in an original way, and it's done in a way that still is gut-wrenching, that still makes me want to change, like, turn the page and keep going. So it's hard to kind of, like, get this topic and do it fresh.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like what makes this book so strong is the authenticity of it. I believe when I read it, you're not trying to teach me a lesson. You're not trying to make it allegorical to our world. You're just authentically looking at characters in a really, really difficult situation, their motivations.
Yeah, I'd prefer it to be observational.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's very, I don't even know how to put words to it, but there's just something so genuine about this story that it will be, I think, long lasting because of its themes, but I think also because of the integrity of the story.
Oh, thank you. That's probably the nicest compliment you could have given me. So I appreciate it. But also, how dare you? Please go back to being
Right. All together. Here we are.
That's better.
Let's see. Is the next question mean, Amy? Let's see. What can...
So I think we've touched on the topics of our questions for 7 and 8. So I don't know, Jack, do you have any other burning questions?
No. I mean, we'll ask the next question, and then I might just throw some random comments out that are completely spoiler-tastic. But so this is the last question before I throw some spoiler comments out there. How's that? If that's okay.
Amazing. Yeah, do it.
What's to come? What the hell? What are we doing here, Stacey? What the fuck? What are we doing?
Well.
What's the next book? When can I get it? Is this a trilogy? This isn't a duology. Can we?
Yeah, I went back on my word. I was supposed to write a duology, but then I outlined book 2 and I went, damn, it's going to be a 250,000 word book.
Oh.
Yeah, so I went, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this in another book, actually. Plot just kept expanding, and I really wanted to do the side characters justice as well. So I sort of had a choice between writing it in a second book and just saying, sorry, to those side characters, you get nothing. Or I could just write it across 2 more books. So it's going to be a trilogy for sure. Book 2 will release around this time next year, so around the same time. We have no hard date, but we're aiming for July next year, so same as this year.
I have your publisher's email. I'll be asking them for that arc. As soon as that arc is out, I've got their email.
Girl, they're so liberal, which is great. They're just like Oprah handing out arcs, which is awesome. I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, so absolutely do that. Yeah, book 2 is crazy. I'm first pass editing it right now. I sent it to my editor saying, I'm so sorry, this is the gist. And fully expected an editorial letter back saying, what the fuck was that? Let's start again. And instead she was like, love it. We just need to fine tune. And I really thought that she would say, we need, it's too full. We need to take out this. We need to take out this. We need to take out this. But instead she's like, no, let's leave it all in. And we're just going to flesh it out so that, the reader can breathe every now and then. And I'm like, okay. So book 2 is going to be quite crazy. It's, I hope it will be fast paced. It's because it's supposed to be. Yeah. And it feels like a race. The entire book for me feels like a race. So just don't expect your heart pressure to dip at all. It's going to stay well up there.
That's exciting. I think it's I love pain, so it's fine.
Yeah.
What I loved about the first book is how stagnant they are in some ways, right?
Yeah.
So to have the complete opposite and to see how the characters act in that. There was a time crunch on Nina, but that doesn't mean she had to race physically places. So I'm very interested to see how it goes.
That's actually a great way to put it, because the first book is very much it felt like towards the end, it definitely felt like a race, but it was internal, right? And
right.
This one's like, and when I say race for the second book, I mean like a literal one.
I can imagine based on the...
Basically everything, you know, at the end of book 1, everything's kind of like exploded. And book 2 is the...
Continues.
An explosion. Yeah, it is the explosion continuing. Yeah. And sort of like the ripple effects and everything that comes after.
So, spoiler warning. Do we have hope of reconciliation at all? I think
there's hope. Yeah, there's certainly hope.
There's always hope.
There's always hope.
Just, you know, look
You're
at a
welcome
star
to
and
hope.
wish.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, if you can dream it, you can do it.
It's like, I think I was sending Amy voice notes, and I think it went from, I think it went from like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do this, to why is this my hobby? Why couldn't I have chosen drugs? This is so hard. Like, it was like drugs would have been better than this. I mean,
probably cheaper at the very
yeah. Oh, when you say cheaper, do you know how much money I'm about to spend on you, Stacey? Like every night, like fancy version of this book.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna buy the French version. I'm gonna buy the Spanish. I'm about to fuck my shit up, my bank account for this book.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Yeah, and it could have been drugs, you know.
Yeah.
It could have been. Some people are like, maybe it should have been.
Maybe. Maybe.
But it was like descent into pure chaos to eventually... Are you looking for the voice note?
No, so I have the voice notes, and I get a little preview of the transcript. So it goes, I only have 27 pages left and I feel sick. I don't want to do this anymore. And then a couple of voice notes later, 8 pages left, and I'm not okay. I am not crying. I'm just really not okay. And then the last one, I couldn't read it, but I could read it. I couldn't watch. Fuck this.
I think there's one where I scream. Would you like to play the screaming one for everyone? Just, I want you to know this is a real time feeling of what a reader.
Wait, okay. I think the screaming.
Sound like a wounded animal.
Yeah, because I am. I sound like I am, and I am but a wounded animal.
She's a dying canary.
I am the canary. And I have stopped singing.
We've come full circle.
I do. If your last line in the last book is not, I was named after a canary related, is not canary related, then like, what was this? Did this conversation mean nothing to you?
Listen, all I can say is that if you ever happen to read my Glacian Trilogy, you will know better than to ask me that question, because of course I'm going to bring it full circle.
Another text message was, I'm about to buy the fanciest version of Ledge. I haven't even read it.
Yeah.
I just trust her now.
Naturally.
I just trust you.
Bless.
Yeah.
Bless.
So, I mean, we'll just have to fill the Nina Patrick hole with your Glacian Trilogy.
Yeah.
And then hopefully we'll survive it.
Just like, my life is flashing before my eyes. Like, I feel I both want the next book so badly, but I also know I physically cannot handle reading the next book. So
I understand
this soon.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, I will impress upon you to read it, because I must hear. And this time you can send your screams directly to me.
Yay!
Thank you. Oh my God. I'd be honored to scream in your direction.
I'll put them in my scream jar.
Yeah. Just general pain and angst your way. Yeah. So love it. Thank you. This has been an absolute lovely conversation. I appreciate it. I love it when an author is just as cool as the book. Like, you know, you would, for how intense the book was, you're so lovely. That's
yeah. I try to make it so it's hard to stay mad at me. You know, that's the
yeah. You're so funny.
Yeah.
How can I hold a grudge?
I'm like, but you're like, yeah, look at me. I'm so nice though. Look at me.
I'm driven. I can learn. I can find a way to hold a grudge. We'll see. So where can people find you, especially on TikTok? Because you are top tier comedy there.
Thank you so much. I'm at Stacey McEwan Books on TikTok, on Instagram, on Threads, on Facebook. So you can find me at any of those places, or my website is staceymcEwanbooks.com.
Great. Amazing. Thank you so much. And we hope to have you back on one way or another. That sounded threatening.
Anytime.
And it kind of is. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the special episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. Stick around for Thursday's episode where we continue our Crown of Midnight analysis.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. We would also love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. You can submit your comments to our form at booktalkforbooktalk.com for a chance to have your feedback discussed during a future mini episode or a Patreon exclusive episode.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle BookTalk for Book Talk. Bye. You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why so many people are making the switch to Mint Mobile.
Say hasta la vista to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you.
All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network.
Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts.
Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months of premium service from Mint Mobile for $15. Amy, didn't you say that your sister is on Mint Mobile and loves it?
Yes, it was the best option for her when she finally got her own mobile wireless plan.
Honestly, I think that it might be the best option for anyone who needs their own mobile wireless plan. It sounds amazing.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get your summer savings and shop premium wireless plans at mintmobile.com/booktalk. That's mintmobile.com/BOOKTALK.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months. 5 GB plan required. Equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Tax and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.